the end of October 2009, for years after Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, I was 18 years old. I am originally from North Carolina, but when I turned 18, I found myself to be homeless. I couldn't stand the idea of being a home bum in the town I grew up in, so I hooked on a freight train and it took me south to Louisiana. I eventually found myself more or less living on the streets in the 9th Ward of New Orleans for a little while. During my travels, I had linked up with some other homeless traveling kids, and they were showing me the ways of the street life world. They decided to show me where they had been sleeping and brought me to an abandoned elementary school. It had been badly flooded years prior and no longer in use. The way you had to sneak into this condemned building was through a busted out door on the first floor school hallway, which was not easy to walk down. There were no windows, and you had to constantly avoid insulation and ceiling debris from where people had long since gutted the first floor ceiling of any copper wiring. Directly at the end of this hallway was the gymnasium. Then right next to that was a staircase leading to the 2nd floor. The only light coming in was from a small window towards the top of that staircase. So once you snuck in, if you didn't have a flashlight, you had to, almost blindly, walk through the trash hall praying you make it to the stairs. The stairs brought you to the 2nd floor, which it had windows, bringing in natural light, and there was not nearly as much debris on the floors. They showed me where to stash my pack in the school, on the 2nd floor, so I didn't have to carry it around everywhere. I was grateful for that. So I stashed it and walked back out into the ward again with them, forgetting that I left my headlamp in my stash pack. Later I realized I needed something else from my pack and went cold remembering that I had no flashlight with me. So I gathered up my courage and walked down the hallway in the dark by myself. I have always been a bit afraid of the dark, so at the time, I thought the unreasonable fear I felt inside me was from that. But the more I listened to other people's stories, I understand now it was the quote fear of dread that was pumping insanely through my blood. I was so scared. Even now, 16 years later, I can remember that fear as if it happened days ago. I continued down the hallway, my hands stretched out in front of me, feeling the lockers to the left, trying to make my way to the small light coming down the stairs at the end of the hallway. I was almost to the stairs when something caught my eyes in the pitch black room of the gymnasium. The gym had double doors, with a right door, which was closet to the staircase, closed, and the left door halfway propped open from the floor debris. My blood ran cold as I looked into the absolutely pitch black gym room. Not a bit of light was in that room, except to glowing, large almond-shaped red eyes. They were higher up than a human's eyes should have been, and they ever so slightly bobbed around as they appeared to be slowly coming closer towards the open door. My adrenaline raged, and it forced my legs to run and my body to flee. I nearly sprouted wings as I flew up that staircase, running directly into the room where my pack was, slamming the door behind me, and I began to try and process what I had just seen. I stayed there until other people started to show up, as I refused to walk down that hallway by myself again. After years went by, I began to hear more stories about red almond-shaped glowing eyes, such as the Mothman or Dogman or other humanoid creatures that people have witnessed. I have kept this story to myself for many years, but I think about it often and finally wanted to share it.